I put some retouch. Excuse the background. I'm trying to get something done in my house. Everything is a mess. I'm trying to set up for this because I didn't know the best way to do this. Um, cool. Wait for some more people to join. I have one person. That's good enough. Hello, good afternoon. Please let me know your name in the chat. Then we can get started. This is my first Tech Live. If you came in expecting a certain type of vibe, I am so sorry. This is going to, oh, hi, thanks. This is going to be pure nerd. We are nerding out today. Friday afternoon. Oh, 5 people. Great. Hello. Let's wait for more. Like I said, excuse my background. I'm trying to get the camera to come up a bit. Hi, Audrey. How are you? Welcome to my tech chat. And I'll wait for some more people to join. I know that there is an overlap between some of us who may be Sussex squaddies. Shout out to the squaddies. And some of us that are engineers. Oh, thank you. Oh, bless you, Dory. I know I'm not. This is me at my nerdiest. I don't. I'm not really proud of how I look. I probably should have made more of an effort, but bear with me. Hi, Doreen. Good evening. Hi, Heather. How are you? Thank you for the like. Shout out to the squaddies who are joining my tech chat. Hi, Audrey. Heather, hello. I'll give it a minute more. See if anybody else joins. I appreciate this is not a Meghan or Harry and Meghan or royal family space. So as many of you that are here, I do appreciate you, even if it's just one. I'll give it 1 minute and I'll talk about what I'm doing and what's going to happen this evening. Sorry, this afternoon. And yeah, hi Heather. Thank you for the flowers. You're so sweet. For now, because I'm going to be using my hands a lot and talking about my tech project, I might get a whiteboard. What do you guys think? A whiteboard? I might get a whiteboard and do visual designs if people are interested in that, and talk about the solutions I am building. But for now, I will just have a chat with you. And this is an intro call. Great, 1 minute has passed. For those of you that are here, thank you so much. My name is Neka. For those of you who are familiar with my content, it's mainly Harry and Meghan because I'm a Sussex squaddie, proudly so. But I'm expanding my channel to go into tech, and because that is my field, and of course I'm going to be doing some movie recaps. Why am I using this channel? Okay, so because I already have a wonderful audience, I'm hoping to leverage off the algorithm I already have to promote this channel, sorry, this work. And then as hopefully I build more people and build more of an audience, I will move the tech work away from this channel, as in completely remove it. So anybody who is in the Sussex squad that's joining, please don't think the channel is changing. It is not. We are still squaddies, 10 toes down for the Duchess and Prince Harry and the babies. But I'm just leveraging off the algorithm because, as you can imagine, it's not easy building a channel. It's quite difficult. So like I said, for as many of you that are joining, whether even if you're not tech and you want to hear me talk, I do appreciate you. Thank you. Because these things make a difference, right? I'm going to share what I've done here with some more people and try and get more of an audience. If you don't mind helping, also help me share, also help me also help me by subscribing or just sharing if you can. I would really appreciate it. If you're not a member of the Sussex squad and you're just joining in wondering what this is about, welcome. This is a tech space. I'm going to spend the next I was thinking I'm going to walk through a project I'm doing. And if you notice the headings there, I said API microservice. So I'll give a quick run through of. Thank you so much, Doreen. I'll give you a quick run through of who I am, and yeah. So I am a data. I'm a senior. I'm a data engineer, technical lead, and my travel. I live in the UK. My travels has mainly been financial services, public sector, private. I'm a data head, and I got into it by accident. Actually, I was doing something completely different, and here we are. So hi, fragrance and lifestyle, and here we are. And over my years of doing this, I've been doing it for just about a decade, and I love it. It's been a life changing, unexpected career change for me. I've been doing this. Hi, from Belgium. I've been doing this. I enjoy what I do. There are not many black women in this space, I'll be honest. It's really more a guy's field, and you don't really see black women. So it's, even though it wasn't my direct intention to try and be the black girl in data engineering, I still want to use I'm hoping to use my platform as a way to encourage many of us. It's never too late, too young. If you're interested in it, just get into it, but prepare yourself. It is male dominated, and you will not see many black women, but that's okay. You shouldn't stop from doing what you want to do. And how did I get into it? Like I said, it was purely by accident. I was doing something that involved a tool called SaaS. Somebody behind me said, you could market this, you could expand this. The sky is the limit. You could become a contractor in Nigeria. Sorry, in the UK, a contractor is very lucrative. You get paid a day rate that is much higher than a basic salary, and you can build from there, even though the market has been destroyed. Thank you, Brexit. And just general globalization. Everybody is moving towards cheaper resources, and that includes engineers. And even with the disruption of AI, you will find that a lot of people are very, very, you still need to understand engineering at its basics. You can AI is like it's like a peer programming assistant, right? It helps you. You can talk, but then again, it's garbage in, garbage out. You will not be able to identify badly written concepts, badly written code, badly written solutions if you don't get your hands involved in it as well. So I'm going to try and make this as fun as possible, and I'm going to talk about API microservices. So for this explanation, I've tried to make it as elementary as possible, because I appreciate that the audience may not necessarily be as technical. But then again, in my mind, if you can't, hi Florence, how are you? If you can't explain something easily to someone, then you yourself don't understand it. So let me explain what I am trying to build. So if you think about APIs are literally, if I had to, let me use a restaurant illustration, because I know people like food. So I'm going to use a restaurant to explain an API, if that's okay with everyone. So a simple, relatable restaurant analogy for an API is, an API is like a waiter at a restaurant, right? You are the customer. The menu is the list of meals. The kitchen cooks your food, and the waiter takes your order, right? So I've just explained to you there are four parties now. So you, the customer, you are the client app. Think of, I don't know, what would be a good thing to use? Let's say you wanted to get daily feeds from those of you who deal in crypto. No, if you deal in stock, anything, any type of data that is fast, changes daily, hourly. Let's use YouTube, right? YouTube right now, I'm filming. Somebody else is filming. Millions of people are filming at the exact same time at this moment, right? Let's say you wanted to get a list of all the people that are currently live right now, right? So if you have access to YouTube's API, you can tailor it to get that information. So let's use YouTube as our client application. Now, going back to the restaurant analogy, the menu, the list of meals, that a good any API has what is called API documentation. Basically, it tells you in a restaurant, it's your menu. What can you request? You're on YouTube. You want to see all the people that are live at the same time. You want to see how many people, or you want to know how many profiles exist in the UK or in Ethiopia or in Belgium, right? What is available to you will be in YouTube's API documentation. And then, of course, you have your kitchen, right? Your kitchen is where you cook your food in the restaurant, and and this represents the backend system, your server and your database. For your API, sorry, your server and database, I'll link it all together. And of course, your waiter, as I mentioned, takes your order. The API itself, which is the messenger between the client, YouTube, and the server, which is where you're going to dump your data. So I've just given you, hopefully that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, please let me know in the chat. That is an API. An API is literally something that makes it's basically, as I said, your waiter. You're going to talk to your waiter and say, look, I've entered my Ethiopian restaurant. I want some Ethiopian food. He sends the message to the kitchen cooks it up for you. And that food is the information you are getting from your API. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. The flow. So how does it work? So imagine you're in the restaurant right now, right? Your app, you are reading the menu to see what's available. You ask the waiter for your favorite Ethiopian meal or whatever meal you want, right? Now, let me put that back to the application. So let's bring it back to YouTube now. You have read YouTube's API documentation, so you know what you can request. Now, you want to send a specific request to YouTube's API. All right? Now, APIs come with different endpoints. APIs, there are different types of is it API? There are different types of API requests you can send. There's get, there's post. Let me start with get and post for now. So you know how I just said now you are reading your menu in the restaurant and you are also reading the API documents. Sorry, you're reading your API document to know what you can request for, and then you then ask your waiter for your meal, aka you send your API request to YouTube. That command, that API request is called get. Hopefully that makes sense. So get, you are sending a request to an API. The waiter tells the kitchen, which can also be the equivalent. API forwards the request to the server. The kitchen is the server in this case. The kitchen makes the food and the waiter brings it back to you. So after the API forwards the request to the server prepares the food. Sorry, the server prepares the response from the API, and the API sends the data back to you. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. I'm happy to, please let me know in the chat if there's anything you want to clarify. Like I said, think of it when you're thinking about, if you've never heard of an API before, think of it like a kitchen. You're in a restaurant, you've gone to eat food, they've given you the menu, a waiter will come and ask you, what would you like? You take your order, you go back to the kitchen, gets the food for you, delivers it to you. That is what an API does. Only that in this case, your restaurant is YouTube API. Your menu is the API document, because different different APIs will have different documentation, so you know what you can request and what you can't request. And then the process of you sending your order through and getting a response back finishes up the API cycle. And let me explain why this works perfectly, right? You, the customer, you don't get to talk to the kitchen directly. I mean, think about it, right? When you go into a restaurant, you're not going to walk into the kitchen and say, "This is the food I want." That's why you need the waiter to stand as your intermediary to do the work for you. The waiter, the API, takes he basically abstracts the process and the complexity of cooking the meal. You don't care about what is happening at the back. All you know is you've sent your order, the waiter has picked it up, and you're waiting for your food. And you can only order what's on your menu, no surprises. So if you go into a restaurant and it's an Italian restaurant, you can't, for example, go in and ask them for French food, right? Doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying you are already setting it up for failure. And why is this important? You have to understand. Let me use YouTube. It's an entity. It's a company, right? My data is private. Florence, your data is private. Fragrance, your data is private. Doreen, your data is private. If they do not, while they do want, because data is gold, right? While people need data to build things, to get information, to do analytics, they can make it available. And don't forget, and bear in mind, guys, this data is not given for free. There is a cost, right? So they can make it, they're saying, okay, we can make it available to you. But for example, we need to ensure that we are protecting the privacy of Florence, Fragrance, Doreen, right? You can't just go in there and do what you like with it, which is why the API documentation is it's like your Bible. You know what you can and cannot do. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Heather, you're right. Exactly. Exactly. That is exactly right. That is what people, in short, that is most likely the biggest use. And let's also be honest with ourselves. Some government companies will take advantage. They will go to YouTube and say, "Oh, can we get all your customers?" Now it's up to YouTube again. If anything the government is asking for is outside that API document, clearly they would need to go and talk to YouTube about it. And YouTube has every right to say, actually, no, we are not going to give it to you. But yes, to answer your question, Heather, yes, that is the exact perfect use case for it. It can be used for research. It can be used for, because it's data. You can literally use it for anything you want. You can use it to track, oh, how many women are on YouTube. If that information is available, you can use it to track different things. Like for example, let me go into YouTube documentation right now and tell you. Let me just use that as an example. What is available? Give me a sec. Um, YouTube API documentation. Aha. So from YouTube, yeah. So you can get core resources, right? You can get individual videos. You can get YouTube channels. You can search results of videos, channels, and playlists. You can get playlists. You can get playlist items, videos inside playlists. You can track comments, and you can also get subscription. Who is a user subscribed to? And the common endpoints you can use is get videos, get video details, access playlists, and use cases. You can embed or search videos in apps. You can show channel or playlist content dynamically. You can analyze video stats, like for NECA, how many views does she get, or how many likes, and you can moderate comments. Yeah. Yeah. Again, do you know what? It depends on what they make available. So, oh, thank you, Captain Blackbird. It depends on what they make available. So, thank you. It depends on what they make available, ladies and gentlemen. APIs, let's not forget, they can give you data, but we have to also bear in mind there are lines they are not willing to cross because especially in Europe, it could become a GDPR issue. And we just said it here that you can access videos, you can access playlists, you can see comments, but notice that it's not going to give you demographics. It's not going to say, oh, is Neka a black woman? Is Heather a white woman? You know, some things are private. And even then, I don't even think I gave YouTube that information when I was signing. I can't remember. But like your personal information, your account details, I don't think they most likely will not share that. But that's going way beyond. That's what we call PII, personal information, and it is very well, especially in Europe, it's very well protected. What's your thoughts on Senator Dickens Sider trying to push the bill on inque? I don't have any thoughts on that. Sorry, this is a tech channel and I'm not in America. But that sounds insane and cruel, by the way. Your health insurance, Jesus, that's terrible. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about APIs that I just explained, please let me know. If not, I will go to the next thing here. So I've explained APIs as easily as I can. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will respond. So now that we've explained an API, this particular API microservice I want to use for my demo is a flight API, right? So the flight API has two endpoints, the create session endpoint and the polling session endpoint. Now this drives the next question. What are the different, let me just get my list. What are the different API requests you can send? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about, okay, so I'm going to have to get rid of you, unfortunately, because you're not serious. All right. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So to the question that you were asking, will this be an overlap tool that will combine AI tools? Yeah. Because don't forget, like the thing that ties them together, Heather, API, right? So if for example, and please let me, if I'm, you know, if you can give me more context so that I can answer your question properly, that would be great in the chat. But yeah, let me just quickly give a quick overview of the different types of API requests, right? Tools in your toolkit, if you will. I should be very, I haven't explained the different types of APIs, but let me focus on REST APIs. So these are mainly web APIs. If you're using a web-based tool, YouTube, for example, 99% is going to be a REST API, right? And the main request types are usually through HTTP methods. These are like verbs, API, that's what I was looking for, verbs or API requests that tell API what to do. So again, API in this case, if it's easier for you, you can use the kitchen analogy, right? You're in the kitchen, sorry, you can use the restaurant analogy. So you're still at your restaurant, right? Your waiter has come to you and said, oh, what would you like? Then you say, okay, these are your different options. There's get. Get is basically show me. Post, create something. And for example, it basically says make me something, right? Put replace something and it overwrites this with new information. Patch, update part of something, change just this one field or this one line. Delete, remove something, throw this away. Hopefully that makes sense, right? These are the main verbs that exist with your API within your API toolkit. Now, if you're using it with something like YouTube, you most likely will use get or post. As we said before, get to show me this. So you said, oh, I want to get videos. Imagine you're holding your API document in front of you and you want to get all the videos that were shot in London in the past 2 hours. You would send a get request, or if you want it to be done in a particular way, maybe you want it within a particular date range, you will say post, because then you would have an option to say, I want to get videos that were created in London between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, right? Put, you don't really get to use that unless, I mean, you don't have to, but like, let's say you've sent a request through on the body of your, on your API body and you want to change something, you can use a put. Patch, delete, you can throw that away. But this, you probably will not need this unless you are building or using a CRUD. CRUD, I'm not talking about that yet, but I'll just keep it simple for now. When we talk about CRUD, I will bring this up again. But for now, the reason I was giving all of you the background is we are basically creating an API microservice that can pick up flight data within a particular time range, store that data, don't forget what we said about post, right? We are going to send a payload, which is information. We're going to make a request to an API endpoint for a flight company, and we are going to get back tokens, right? These tokens will then be sent to a different endpoint to get us flight information. Hopefully that makes sense. If anybody wants me to repeat that, I'm happy to go through that again. But yeah, we've been talking for almost 30 minutes. Thank you all for the engagement. Ignore the troll. I saw the person. Thank you all for the engagement. Heather, thank you so much for engaging with me. Anybody else, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Feel free to ask. Oh, thank you. Right, so let's get to it then. As I've just said, we are building an API microservice that is going to send a session token. That is going to send a request from us. We are expecting back session tokens. That token will then be used to pass to another endpoint to get us the data that we need. So think of it as 2 steps. 1, get your session token based on a request that you are sending. Second one, get your information based on the request that you are sending. So if you remember what I just said now about the different verbs you can use for an API, there is get, there is post, there is patch, there's update, and there is, what was the last one? Pull, I think? No, that's not correct. Yeah. So in this case, if you recall, post is when we are asking, create something for me. Now, the reason we are using post to get information is we have set particular parameters. Well, we're not just sending a get message, just give you what you have. We are literally saying, I want this information based off these parameters. Because this is flight information, we want our origin, we want our destination, we want the cabin class, we want currency. And some additional pieces that we need a starting We need when the journey is starting and when it's ending. And we also would like to see a forecast of, with this particular journey, if, for example, Heather wants to travel to Barbados tomorrow and she's only staying for the weekend, coming back on Monday. She's booked her ticket, right? So it's a 2-3 day weekend, long day weekend, lovely. But then anything could happen. Heather could get to Barbados and realize that, oh, and Heather has won $100 million. And she's like, I don't want to go back now. I'm going to stay here for another 2 months, right? So to predict this type of behavior, each leg that we are going to post to our create session in this flight API endpoint is going to have different origin, destination, cabin class, currency, start time, end time, and the return time could literally be any day over the next 360 days. So hopefully that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to stop and address them. Is this tool only for companies? No. Heather, you can pull it up yourself. Yeah, anybody can use it. If you want to do it for you, all you have to do is just go online and check. There's something called Rapid API. Let me see. Can I write in the chat here? No, I can't. Oh, I can't. But I'll post it after the call. There's something called Rapid API. It will tell you all the APIs that are available for just about any company in the world that has a web-based presence. And you can go in some. Now, I should probably say right at the beginning, because people want to manage data, and don't forget, data is valuable. For some of this data, you will be charged. Let's keep it 100. You will be charged, especially if you're planning on using. So for some of them, you might have to contact them and say, okay, I want to access YouTube data, but I want to use like 500,000. But I need it in a particular way, in a particular volume, which can come up to, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 a day. That is a lot of traffic. So they might charge you. They might say, okay, fine, we'll give it to you, but we need to give you special keys that you can use and we will charge you. So Heather, to your point, no, it's not only for companies. There are some free APIs. Many of them are free, to be honest. Some of them are not, but it depends on your usage. Does that answer your question? Okay, so I will presume yes. So okay, I've explained what we're talking about today. Thank you, Heather. The create search session and the poll search session, and a couple of things. If I have to put it in very simple English, create search session posts to a particular API endpoint. It starts a search with flight details, origin, as I just said, destination, dates, etc., and returns a session token used to track the search. Think of it like, here's my flight request, start looking. Pulse, and then of course, once you get your search token, you take that token and you go to your poll search endpoint and you say, and you check if the results are ready. Now, with APIs, like any other web-based tools, if you can get a couple of responses, and this is why your API documentation is your Bible. For example, think of it as a tap, right? You open a tap, you expect to get a stream of water. Depending on how you power your tap, it could be flowing slowly or it could be a massive stream. It doesn't really matter. It's a stream, right? And as you can imagine, any stream of anything up to a particular extent cannot be controlled unless you turn it off, right? As long as that stream is pouring is doing what it wants, right? If you're lucky, it's pouring into a sink and it's not pouring on your floor, right? So think of an API that way. The instant you press a button or you send your request, if your token, as soon as you send the request, it's going to start returning data based on your request, right? Now, in order for that to happen, because we are on the web, it could go, you have to think about latency, network issues. Something went wrong in Skyscanner, right? Now, if the results are ready, if the results exist, you will get a response The most popular ones are 200. And this is something that you guys have probably seen yourself. When you try to connect to a website, you might see a 200 response if you use it. And that means that's good. It means that the request that you've made, it's found it and it's going to return the information that you've asked for. 204 means it is still processing. This is a universal HTTP language. There's no, everywhere you go, as long as you're web based, you always have a 200 or a 204 or a 429. A 429 means your rate limit is exceeded, and I'll explain what that means. You could also get a 400, which might mean the token does not exist. Which might mean that your token does not exist. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, does anybody have any more questions? Any questions? Great. So I'm going to quickly go to the next point. Now, I think I've given enough information about what the API, what this API project is going to be about. Let me take a step back and go back to a conversation. How are you guys finding the process? Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying what you're reading, what you're hearing? Do you have any thoughts, feedback? Um, that's a good question. No, I mean people are still using desk, right? They're still using telephones. So as long as people are still using these tools, there will always be a use for it. So if you're concerned about, oh, how is this going to impact my job or my career, don't be. As like I said, as long as people are still using phones, because if you look at a lot of our phones are web based anyway. As long as people are using phones, you will always have the need for this type of a tool, of that type of a tool. But those types of tools might have their own setup and things like that. But yeah, let me just quickly give everybody a break for a second. Let me put some notes together. Good. So I've given it a break. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Actually, you know what? Let me, I'll give a quick run through of the create search. Oh, thanks, Heather. I'm going to give it, because I want to bear in mind that it's 40 minutes. So I'm going to give one last update, and then I will go, and then we will call it now, and I will have another session and we can go into more detail. And then please, guys, I need your feedback. Let me know what you think is missing, whether you're enjoying it. If you give me your thoughts, I would really appreciate it. So, as I said, there are two things we're going to cover in this API microservice. I've spoken to you about the two endpoints. The tooling we are using is Azure. Azure is a cloud-based, is a cloud service, right? It comes with a lot of tools. We're going to use function apps as our trigger point, and we're also going to use, well, actually, we're going to do this primarily only in Azure. So the next time I catch up with you guys, we're going to go through the Azure function app. What does it do? What is it used for? Please let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'm going to get a whiteboard so that we can maybe make it a bit more interactive. But yeah, I would really love to hear your feedback. If you found this useful, I guess what I'm aiming to do is to make these concepts easy for people who might not, and to Heather said it perfectly. Easy for people who are new to this. If you're older, if you're younger, if you're worried about, okay, can I do this? And then what I'll do is maybe I'll give you guys small assignments so you can go on your own and see that it really isn't intimidating. It really is quite straightforward, and we can take it from there. But guys, thank you so much for joining my chat. I found this very, very useful. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And this is for everyone. Because a lot of people tell me that, oh, I want to get into tech, but I'm worried. They feel intimidated. Look, these are tools. If there are concepts you need to understand. Understand concepts. Like you were asking the question about the API thing that will replace desk and telephone research. Desk and telephones are still, people are still using them, right? Think of an API as just an additional way of getting information from web-based tools. If, for example, you wanted to do a survey of, okay, let's say, Heather, you want to get into travel and you want to check, okay, how many YouTube channels are actually doing travel? You can use a YouTube API. Just go and get specific videos, maybe post a request that, okay, I want to check a specific type of video, specifically travel, and get that information yourself. We can talk about, I'll talk about the function, I'll talk about some tooling you can use if you want to play around with it at home that are cheap, that are free. You don't even need a special account. You can literally just log in and do your thing. And see, it's good fun. And yeah, once you, no, you don't. No, 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 not at all. Not at all. All you need is computer, internet, and curiosity. Just like you are engaging with YouTube, it's just curiosity. Because the one thing I will say in closing is there's nothing anybody, right now, we're doing a live, right? The exact same architecture to design this live so that its latency is strong enough and you can see me clearly is used in YouTube, is used in TikTok, is used in what's the other one? Instagram. Everybody is copying. There is no pattern being used on an enterprise scale like what we're using right now that is brand new. It is not something that is hidden away on the internet that you can't find. It's all there, right? And it's accessible by anyone. If you're interested, all you need is your internet, curiosity, and I will guide. We can play around with this API piece as a start. Like I said, from the next time I set this up, I will give some easy tasks that we can all do together. If you want to play around with Thunder Client, Postman, we can post an API while while we're having the live, and you'll see it's fun. And then maybe I'll do a video recording I'll also do a video recording and show you how to do it as well and post it on here. But yeah, thank you all for joining my chat. I appreciate each and every one of you that are here, that stayed on. It's not easy. I know it's not Meghan and Harry, but I want to stress this again. This channel is not changing. We are still for Meghan. We are still for Harry. There is something I actually want to react to, but I need to go somewhere now. I'm going to watch a movie, and I will. We are going to drag Jobbo, that portly. You know, we're going to drag that man because he's a highly unserious person. And yeah, please don't think I'm changing. I'm not changing. What I'm going to do actually from the weekend, I'm going to split the playlist. The IT will get its own playlist. Meghan and Harry will get their own playlist so that you know where to go. And yeah, thank you all for being patient and for joining my chat. I'm so appreciative. Take care. Bye.